Welcome to another video. I've been using that Mac Studio since it came out, and here are my thoughts. Let's set the stage for how this review is going to go. iPhones versus Android phones. What is better? This has been a long-standing debate in the tech community, and this is my take on it. There are a lot of Android phones that are technically better than the latest and greatest iPhones. Better displays, cameras, aesthetics, and capabilities. But if you're a content creator, should you be using an Android flagship phone? The answer, in my opinion, is simply no. This is because of app optimization. Content creation on an iPhone still yields better results, in my opinion. With that logic, am I saying that the Mac Studio is the most powerful desktop in the world? Don't let Apple's marketing department fool you. It simply isn't. But if you're a content creator looking for a desktop, the Mac Studio is still king of the hill. The configuration that I went with is for the base Mac Studio with the M1 Max chip. It has a 10-core CPU, 24-core GPU, 32 gigs of unified memory, a 512 SSD, and a bevy of I/O both on the front and the back. For 90% of content creators, this is the configuration that I recommend, and there will still be enough headroom to future-proof your purchase. I do not recommend the Ultra because most applications are simply not optimized to use all that power. As a result of a hardware limitation, apps may never be able to access that performance until the next generation of Apple Silicon is released, so save your hard-earned money and get the base model. Calling it the base model is somewhat very misleading because there is nothing basic about its performance. My journey with Apple Silicon started with the MacBook Pro 13-inch. At the time, it was leaps and bounds better than the custom-built PC, rendering videos and photos in half the time. I, however, quickly realized that for my workflow, which consists of a lot of effects and video editing and layers in Photoshop, the 8 gigs of RAM that was on that laptop was not enough. Going up to 16 gigs would certainly help, but that still wasn't going to be enough long term. Like many of you, I read the rumors and was hoping that Apple will upgrade the M1 Mac Mini and give it the M1 Pro chip, allowing us to configure the machine with more than 16 gigs of RAM. That did not happen. Instead, Apple gave us the Mac Studio with the M1 Max chip. Let's talk about performance. Here I'm going to focus on apps that I use for content creation, so if I don't cover an application that you use, in the comments I'll leave a link to other reviews that cover all of the popular content creation apps. When it comes to photo editing, exporting 349 images from my X-T3 took 15 minutes in Lightroom on my M1 MacBook Pro and 10 minutes in Capture One. By the way, if you're not using Capture One, it's time to grow up. I'm only kidding. Not really. On the Mac Studio, that same export took 8 minutes in Lightroom and 3 minutes in Capture One. On the video editing side of things, exporting an 11-minute 4K H.265 video from a 10-bit FLOG file with color grading and multiple graphics and effects took 22 minutes on the MacBook Pro when doing a multi-pass encode for better quality output versus 11 minutes for the single pass. On the Mac Studio, that same export took 7 minutes for the multi-pass encode and only 3 minutes for the single pass. Wow, this performance left me speechless. According to Apple, this Mac Studio is 50% faster than the high-end 16-core Mac Pro in CPU tasks and 3.4 times faster in GPU performance. That Mac Pro currently sells for $8,000 versus $2,000 that I paid for this Mac Studio. Let's go back to the beginning. Yes, there are PCs that are far more powerful than Mac Studio. But if you're a content creator, apps like Capture One, DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, and even Premiere Pro have been well optimized for Apple Silicon, and the performance far exceeds what you'll get in most PCs. That's all you really need to know. If you do not have a laptop and you move around frequently, go for the 14-inch or 16-inch MacBook Pros and configure enough RAM for your use case. But if you need a desktop or prefer editing with a larger display, there isn't a better computer than the Mac Studio. When it comes to content creation, the only individuals who should be going for the M1 Ultra configuration are individuals who use applications that are only CPU based like Lightroom Classic and are exporting 1,000 plus photos multiple times a week. Those individuals will enjoy the benefits of M1 Ultra, but for everyone else, the base model is more than sufficient. Thank you for watching.